Well, friends, notwithstanding her unusual relationship with Donald Trump, Judge Aileen Cannon just refused to remove herself from presiding over the case of Ryan Routh, the defendant who is charged with an alleged assassination plot of Donald Trump. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenkersner here. So friends, Judge Aileen Cannon just can't quit Donald Trump. There's a defendant by the name of Ryan Routh. He is the guy who reportedly was outside the fence that surrounds Donald Trump's golf course at Mar-a-Lago. Trump was playing golf. Routh reportedly had an assault rifle and was planning an assassination attempt on Trump. He was arrested, indicted, and Judge Aileen Cannon was assigned to preside over Ryan Routh's case. Not surprisingly, Ryan Routh's lawyer filed a motion to have Judge Cannon removed, recused from the case because of her unusual relationship with the victim in the case, Donald Trump. I mean, at a minimum, there is a real problem with the appearance of bias and favoritism and partiality toward Donald Trump. There may be actual bias and partiality and favoritism, but at a minimum, there is the appearance of extreme favoritism that Judge Cannon has shown Donald Trump. And that is the basis to remove a judge when a judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned. They shall be disqualified from the case. That's the federal law. And just think about the evidence in aggregate when we put it all together. What do we know? Well, first of all, Donald Trump appointed Judge Aileen Cannon to that cushiest of cushy lifetime appointments to the federal bench. That's for openers. Then Judge Cannon went on to abuse her judicial discretion, not once, but twice, to Donald Trump's extreme advantage, and the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals reversed her twice for abusing her discretion in Trump's favor and doing something that the law did not allow. Undeterred, Judge Cannon did it again. She dismissed Donald Trump's classified documents obstruction of justice espionage case, contrary to precedent, including Supreme Court precedent. That case is on appeal, and in my opinion, she will be reversed a third time. 3 strikes, you ought to be out, you would think. As if that wasn't enough, Donald Trump just viciously criticizes every single judge that seems to have anything to do with any of his cases, criminal and civil, except Judge Aileen Cannon. He heaps praise on her. And then here's the cherry on the disqualification sundae. Recently, we learned that Aileen Cannon is on Donald Trump's short list to be Attorney General if he's elected again. I mean, if all of that in combination doesn't, at a minimum, give an appearance of bias or possible favoritism, you ever feel exhausted by all of the injustice, friends? Let's start with the new reporting. This from The Hill. Headline, Cannon refuses recusal from Trump's assassination attempt suspect's case. And that article begins, U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon on Tuesday refused to recuse herself from overseeing the case of the suspect accused of attempting to assassinate former President Trump at his golf course. Ryan Routh, the suspect, cited how Trump has praised Cannon for dismissing his classified documents indictment, saying it created an appearance of bias. Federal prosecutors opposed Routh's recusal attempt. Quote, As defendant acknowledged, I have no control over what private citizens, members of the media, or public officials or candidates elect to say about me or my judicial rulings, Cannon wrote in her decision, nor am I concerned about the political consequences of my rulings or how those rulings might be viewed by some in the media, she added. Routh faces 5 federal charges, including attempting to assassinate a major presidential candidate for allegedly staking out the perimeter of Trump's West Palm Beach, Florida golf course last month with a rifle while the former president was on the course. Routh, who faces up to life in prison, pleaded not guilty. Cannon was randomly assigned to oversee both Routh's case and Trump's indictment, accusing him of mishandling classified documents after leaving office and obstructing the government's efforts to retrieve them. In July, Cannon tossed Trump's charges by finding the special counsel leading the prosecution was unconstitutionally appointed, causing the former president to heap public praise upon the judge. ABC News has also reported that Cannon is among Trump's list of attorney general candidates in a potential second White House term. Okay, friends, let's just have a quick look at Judge Cannon's new ruling refusing to remove herself from presiding over Routh's case. Under the catch-all provision of the federal recusal statute on which defendant relies, quote, any judge, justice, or magistrate judge of the United States shall disqualify himself in any proceeding in which his impartiality might reasonably be questioned. What matters under that statute is not the reality of bias or prejudice, but its appearance. So at least Judge Cannon gets the law and the standard for recusal right, but then she spends the next several pages seeming to ignore it. So the fact that Donald Trump appointed her to the federal bench, well, without more, that doesn't warrant recusal. How about the fact that President Trump made various public statements about me? Well, Judge Cannon tells us, hey, I have no control over that. And then she assures us that, well, I follow my oath to administer justice faithfully, but the problem is that's not the legal standard for recusal, not whether or not you can follow your oath. It's whether there is the appearance of bias when you put all this evidence and information together. Judge Cannon continues. Well, the prospect of a judicial promotion, I guess either to the Supreme Court or as Attorney General of the United States, oh, that's highly tenuous speculation, so we'll just go ahead and toss that out. And then Judge Cannon mentions the 2 judicial proceedings where I made some rulings that were favorable. Of course, she glosses over the part where those favorable rulings were lawless. They had no basis in the law, and the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals said she abused her judicial discretion twice by doing something the law did not allow to the extreme advantage of Donald Trump. That part doesn't appear in her ruling. But she says, well, you know, when I made those favorable rulings, that generally doesn't serve as the basis for a recusal motion. So she seems to get the law and the test right, not actual bias, but the appearance of bias, the appearance of favoritism, the appearance of some partiality to one litigant or another. And you look at the evidence in the totality, you look at all of the circumstances together, but that's really not how she assesses all of these pieces of evidence that show her favoritism, her bias, her partiality. She seems to pick up each one as if it were a piece of a puzzle, a 500-piece puzzle. She picks up one piece and says, well, this piece, without more, standing alone, doesn't show that I am biased. So let me just throw that piece out and let me pick up another piece. Well, this piece by itself, on its own, doesn't show I'm biased. So, assembling a puzzle at Judge Cannon's house must be a challenging endeavor. So let's look at just one of the disqualifying pieces of evidence, in my opinion, and that is Donald Trump announcing that Judge Cannon is on his short list to be Attorney General. Well, you might say, well, how is that different from Donald Trump making her a federal judge for life? That's pretty cushy. It sure is, but guess what? There are 890 federal judges sitting at this moment enjoying life tenure. There's only one Attorney General at a time. Seems to be an arguably even more prestigious and coveted position to hold. And frankly, there have only been, I think, 85 attorneys general in our nation's history. As of right now, there are 890 federal judges. So that could be viewed as a promotion. Nice little bump up, being made Attorney General. And Donald Trump has said, virtually announced in substance, play your cards right, Aileen. You might be my Attorney General. Well, we'll see how you handle that Routh case first. The case in which I'm the charged victim. I'm struggling not to quote the Dexys Midnight Runners lyric, "Come on, Aileen." Because to us, justice matters. Friends, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.